Many thanks for staying with us here on News Desk, and we can start off with the very first story. And the government will today be meeting with organised labour to discuss concerns raised over the recent utility price hikes. Now, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission (PURC) announced an increase of 59.2% in water tariffs and 67.2% in the tariff for electricity, explaining that the increase was arrived at after careful scrutiny of proposals submitted by the various utility providers. But the adjustment has not gone down well with too many Ghanaians, with some groups calling for a review or a total reversal of the decision. The Christian Council of Ghana has, for instance, criticized heavily the decision by the PURC to increase water and electricity tariffs. We'll try as much as possible and get on the lines. Reverend Dr. Opuni Frimpong, who is a General Secretary of the Council. And, well, we cannot reach him now, so I said when we do have him, we'll try as much as possible and bring you, then we'll bring you a lot more on that story. But we can move on and do some more stories now. We are taking a break here on News Desk. We return shortly with some more news. Don't go away. Many thanks for your time here on News Desk, and we do apologize for that particular break. We did have some technical challenges there, but away from that, let's try and get an understanding of what particular expectations a lot of Ghanaians do have as we await the outcome of that particular meeting between government and some stakeholders on this particular tariff adjustments. And joining me over the telephone lines now with some thoughts on this, and indeed this group has also been raising quite a number of concerns about this particular issue. And Andrew Awuni is Executive Secretary of the Center for Freedom and Accuracy. He joins us over the telephone lines now with some thoughts on this issue. Mr. Awuni, good morning. Many thanks for your time on News Desk.
Good morning, my brother. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
You guys and your viewers.
Right. So, I mean, we are hearing of this stakeholder consultation. Now, is there a chance that this tariff adjustment might be reviewed or possibly revoked?
Well, I think we need to put it into context. What has happened in this country, and particularly to the economy in the last 4 years, is very simple, but with very serious consequences. Right now, what the nation is faced with is lack of liquidity. Every policy that the government is implementing now is geared towards raising revenue. It has nothing to do with improvement of the service. It is about revenue. The government is almost approaching a cul-de-sac in terms of its borrowing. The sustainability of the debt has become real. It is no longer possible to run the nation unless you are able to raise sufficient money. So in the petroleum sector, in the financial sector, in the transport sector, at the utility, I mean, you cannot increase tariffs on a service that does not exist. But we are doing it now because the government really needs the money. It's like you are a worker at Joy News. I'm sure if you had a Jaguar, you would like to drive in a Jaguar. If you take your pay slip to the dealers of Jaguar, they may give you a Jaguar. But at the end of the month, a large sum of money will be deducted from your salary. And when you go home driving your Jaguar and you are faced with electricity bills, you are faced with school fees for your kids, you are faced with chop money business, then you have to borrow. But remember, the deduction on the Jaguar will take quite some time. So you keep borrowing until until you get to a point, it is no longer possible. That is the very simple thing that has happened to this country that people don't even seem to appreciate. So all these things that are happening today are geared towards only one thing: just raise revenue. Raise revenue. If you raise revenue, you will reduce your borrowing and begin to use that revenue to plug the holes, and maybe you will get out of the current problem. That is what has happened to this nation. So I really don't know what the government is going to do. Revoke or not revoke, we all are in trouble.
Some see this as a twofold problem. Now, on one hand, there's this thing about fuel price increases, and well, many have suggested that, you know what, we really shouldn't be paying so much for the fuel. But on the other scale, we are looking at a situation like water tariffs, for instance, or electricity tariffs, and some say the amount of money, really Ghanaians spend on these particular tariffs is woefully inadequate, so inadequate, such that it forces the operators or the utility providers not to perform to their optimum best. Could it be the case that perhaps we might just cut the government some slack, particularly when it comes to the payment of utility tariffs?
Well, you see, it would make sense if the service was available. What are you paying for? Do so? It is not available. So you cannot be talking about, fuel tariffs being the reason for what is going on now. That's not the case. You see, when you earlier on mentioned fuel. I just returned from Maryland in America a week ago or so, and I buy fuel in Silver Spring for $1.70. 1 gallon of fuel in Silver Spring, Maryland, $1.70. And I come back to Ghana and I have to pay $4. It just doesn't. I don't know which part of this earth we are located and why we are doing what we are doing. But like I explained earlier on, we all as a nation are in a big, big trouble. You see, I used to work in the State Bank. People used to come and sell their goods to us. Some of my colleagues were so foolish. They bought everything that suppliers came with. Then at the end of the month, they go to pick their pay, their salary, and they have nothing left. And yet they have to do things. And yet you go to their rooms and they have color TV, they have freezer, they have fridge, they have that. And the co-tenants think they are doing well. It doesn't make sense. So we are getting to, look, it's serious. Let all those who are doing this political debate for once put it aside and just say, how did we get, and the problem really is that when we started warning them to stop this borrowing, they said, we are not borrowing to party, we are borrowing to develop. You want development, your personal development. That's why I said, if you get a Jaguar, you will drive. But you are not too stupid to go buy a Jaguar when you know you cannot sustain it. Because if you do that, you are killing yourself. That's what the real issue is. So tariff, if the service were there, we could make a sound argument. But if the service is not there, how can you say that we are increasing tariffs so we can improve upon the service? Which service? So it's not about service. It's not about improvement. Right now, let every Ghanaian focus his mind or her mind. How do we get out of the current problem? That's the recommendation of the IMF. You've got to get your own money and start settling these debts before you get to that cul-de-sac. Because soon, people will stop lending to you. So and when we get to that point, that is really a total collapse. So we all have a responsibility. And we are paying for the recklessness of some people. Ghanaians are supposed to pay for that recklessness.
So from what I gather from what you're saying, it doesn't look like there seems to be so much light so much light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of Ghanaians who were hoping that this particular meeting between TUC, government, and the AGI, nothing really is going to come out of it, really.
Well, you see, the government may wriggle its way out, First, it may reduce to please or to say that, look, we have achieved something, but they will have to get that money elsewhere. They may have to move from utility tariff and maybe go, if you visit the loo, you pay a fee. They need that money, and I shouldn't say they. We all need that money because we haven't behaved well. We haven't behaved well.
We have heard from some pressure groups and some civil society groups as well say that, well, they are actually taking the matter up to court. We've heard of the Consumer Protection Agency, which has actually filed a writ in court seeking to compel the PRC and these utility providers to put a halt to the collection of these new tariffs. Are we likely to see your outfits follow suit? I mean, go through a similar process?
You see, our outfit, we look at these things really objectively and we take a position. Now, whether you go to court or not, I am saying that what has happened requires money. So how do we get that money? And I'm saying that when somebody comes and tells you we're increasing this because we want to improve that, that's not true. They need the money. How do we get that money? Because otherwise we will... You see, this government is not happy about increasing these things. So, because we're in an election year. You think they're stupid? They are not. But they misbehaved, so to speak, advisedly, in the past that they are paying for it and could even risk losing losing power. But they've got to do it. Because otherwise, salaries will stop. Salaries will cease. Not just salaries. Many other expenditures will not be able to be done. So what do we do? I'm saying that they have not behaved well in the past. When we kept warning them, I particularly even sent a message to Otunfo. I sent a message, and when I say I mean the Center for Freedom and Accuracy. I sent a message to Kofi Annan. Talk to this government. We publicized it. Beg them to stop. We know we need all these beautiful things. But like I said, I need a beautiful car, but I have to measure my coat according to my cloth. And at the right time, I will drive in that car that I dream of. You don't just jump and do it. Now we are stuck here. A government that is going into an election. It's an election year. I didn't even know the impact of the fuel increases until I drove out yesterday. And when I looked at the board, I said, my God, what is happening? Then it hit me that we are really in a big problem.
Okay.
So they may go to court. Yes, they may even win. But so what does the government do? Hand over power? Say, look, it's enough, it's enough? No, we're in trouble.
Is there another way out of this situation?
The other way, that's what they did last year when they went for the IMF. So the IMF is supposed to anchor their current expenditures. In other words, supervise every CD dollar that they spend. You can't spend it here. You can't spend it there. You must spend it here or you must spend it there. And also stop them from... 2 days ago, I read the gender minister was saying they have got a loan of $5 million to restructure social welfare. Restructure social welfare? What does that mean? Restructure social welfare department. What does that mean? The social welfare department is the department that has to spend money every day taking care of the vulnerable. So what it means is that buy new cars, go and whitewash the offices of social welfare, give them a few curtains. That's another $5 million in the drain. So the way out is to reduce expenditure, stop this borrowing completely, and start dealing with the essentials, that is paying people's salary, that is taking care of the health situation, taking care of the educational situation, and all that. And also reduce corruption. A lot of this money have really ended up in people's pockets. You go and buy car power. You know how much it is, but we know how much we pay. You go and get this. And people took advantage of the energy situation, and everybody was just taking advantage of it, not just in the energy sector, several other sectors. Look at what recently happened to the branding. You may say, what? It's a small amount, But that's just from a small place. What about the rest? So if we will reduce all those things, the IMF will really be sincere with this government. They will have to tell them the truth.
Right. Okay. Many thanks for your time, Mr. Andrew Awuni. And Andrew Awuni is the Executive Director for the Center for Freedom and Accuracy, sharing some thoughts on that particular subject matter. We can move on and do some more. But meanwhile, some Ghanaians have been expressing their thoughts on the expectations ahead of that particular stakeholder consultation on utility tariff increases.
Be reduced, but previously such meetings has been held before, or and what has happened? Has the price reduced or it did maintain it? That is the question we should ask. So for my expectation, I want the price to be reduced, but I'm not sure it will be reduced because that was what it has happened before, and the price has still been the same.
I'll be very much happy if they have the meeting, and I'm very sure, at least by all means, when they finish the meeting, I know there will, at least something will happen. They might reduce the prices of the fuel, light bill and things. You know, now Ghana, it's not easy. Last week like this, we are working under somebody. We don't have our own. So they have to check all those things and reduce the things for us so that we can afford something small.
They will do the same. The price will not be reduced. Just for going to chop their things there will be no change will come from them.
So those are the views of some Ghanaians here on the streets of the capital, Accra. But away from that, and the opposition New Patriotic Party is calling on Ghanaians to reject the hardship being inflicted on them by the introduction of new taxes by government. Speaking in an interview with Joy News following the passage of the Energy Levy Bill, Director of Communications of the NPP described the move as a deliberate intent by the government to punish Ghanaians for expressing their displeasure with the bad governance of the ruling NDC.
This is about the people of Ghana and their welfare. It's not about NPP, it's not about NDC. So I'm calling on the people of Ghana to rise against this. Now, you talk of minority in parliament. You know how parliament works. It's the majority to have their way. So they come and they say, after the debate, they say, those in favor say aye. So they say aye. Those not in favor say no. No. The ayes have it. And that's the end of the matter. Put the taxes on the things that the rich people consume. Whiskey, cigarettes, cognac, V8. Put the taxes there. You go and put tax on water. 60% tariff increase, water. And you see, the petrol one, what makes it more annoying and full of impunity is that all over the world, prices of petrol are being reduced. Even in the very rich countries in Europe, prices of petrol are being reduced because the price of oil has fallen to about $35, the lowest in a long time. And you know, there are two main things that determine the price of petrol in Ghana. The first one is the price of oil on the international market. Whether the oil is $40, $50, $60. You can't do anything about it. The second one is the price of the dollar in Ghana. So in Ghana, in the last 2-3 months, the price of the dollar has been stable. It's been about 3 cedis 80 pesos to the dollar. In the last at least 2 months, it's been stable. On the international market, last year by this time, the oil was selling at about $100 a barrel. Today, as we speak, it's about $35 a barrel. So the price of the oil is coming down, and the price of this dollar is stable. So all over the world, the price of petrol is going down. Only in Ghana. Now, if you are the government, the price of oil has come down. By now, by what they call the automatic adjustment formula, petrol should be selling at about $8 or 9 cedis a gallon. from 12. Should be selling at about 8 or 9 cedis because of the fall in the price of oil. Now you don't reduce it. You don't even maintain it at 12 cedis. You have rather increased it to 15 cedis. When the price of oil has come down, everybody is expecting a relief. They don't give the relief. They rather increase it. You see, so it is clear case of impunity. Look at the hardships that is going to be visited on Ghanaians. And
that was the Director of Communications of the opposition NPP, Nana Akomia. There, you're still watching News Desk here on Joy News on Multi TV. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you a lot more stories.